everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings. They finally have a home once again, because we're back. That's right. You guys have been listening to some of those other Red Wings podcasts and their terrible takes, and you missed our terrible takes. Well, we're back to give you some terrible takes straight out of Metro Detroit. We're out of Larkin's hometown. We're
one of us.
We're one neighborhood. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say exactly where I live. I'm not a celebrity. One neighborhood away from Nicholas Lidstrom Drive. We're just surrounded by the Red Wings.
Hold on. Isn't it Nick Lindstrom Drive?
Oh, that's right. I think it's Mick.
Speaking of lids, where's your hat?
Oh, God. Oh. Really do the old TikTok. Where's your uniform? And I got to do the squeaky shoes out of.
Oh boy, here we go. Give Matt 45 minutes, pick a hat. The other day I saw him in a Cubs hat. I didn't know he even liked baseball, let alone the Cubs. There he is. He's got his.
All right, we're back.
NHL shield back. Thank goodness.
Oh, I got one of my hats. So my vacation, I went down to Naples, and this is probably what most of this episode will be, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it pronounced Naples or nipples? I never get it.
All right, it's based on all the old folks that are there, and the gentlemen
hanging around. Yeah,
it's nipples. It was the ocean water was hot.
It was hot.
Yeah, folks, we're in trouble.
So the oceans are boiling is basically what Matt's getting at.
Yes. Did you see the post? I think it was right while I was on vacation that internationally, outside of the United States, they're going to start terming it not as global warming, but global boiling. And that was at the time that I was sticking my Tootsies into the ocean, and it was hot. We rented like an Airbnb that had a pool, and that was hot. It was rough.
Yeah, it's getting toasty out there, Matt. It does look like it's probably the end times. Jared was very excited.
Finally, the
mic show.
Blake, what's going on? Blake, I just saw that you followed us on X. That's right.
Are we calling it, boys? Are we calling it X? I don't know if I'm ever going to call it X. I will probably stop using it before I call it X.
I'm really close to never using it. Guys, I love you. I think we need a Discord because I'd rather just chat with you guys about hockey instead of having an X account. I think Jared's recommended it a couple of times.
Well, it's tough because I have so many other X accounts. I got my X videos, my X hamster. I can't keep track of another X. That's too many.
Did you get my text message earlier today with the bookmark that was saved on my Google?
Yes, I'm very proud of you, Matt. Also,
can't believe
he said it was 115 here. So late July, August. Breaking news: it gets hot in the summer. But our concern again is that the oceans are boiling. Matt, I don't know if we want to talk some hockey on this hockey podcast, but it feels like this off season is no longer at a boil. It looks like it's at a little bit of maybe a simmer on a little bit on the back burner there, Matt. Looks like it's already done cooking. Is the Red Wing hot stove, is that over?
I think so. I kind of put in the show description, like I was like, I think this is it. Like we're going into training camp with what we're looking at here. Like, to go back an episode, we were maybe a few days into the actual trade of DeBrincat. So we were like, let's tackle it with like depth charts. And I remember, I think the biggest thing we got in trouble for was not putting Klim in any of our depth charts. And I was like, yeah. Bottom six, who cares?
Whatever Klim burner accounts. We're not changing a damn thing.
Right. So are we done with the top six? Well, let's not even put it that way, because I hope we're not. Like, it would be cool to do something else, but I think yes, this is what we're sailing into training camp with, right? Like, maybe we're not looking at it and like, okay, new mindset for next season. It's just kind of like dinking and dunking, few points here or there, and just not. We're in a group right now, right? Of how many teams are we going to be
Well, it's,
for?
let's add this caveat too, because you and I are basically coming to the consensus. Is this it? Is this it? When you have Alex DeBrincat, JT Compher, Robbie Fabry coming back from injury, Klim Kostin, Daniel Sprung, Christian Fisher, potentially Bergeron. Actually, he's going from start to finish. Then you got the scary ghost bear himself, Justin. Don't call me whole. It's and James Reimer. I hate saying that guy. Where's the goalie that we like? I just mean that it's a lot of turnover. This is a lot of new pieces in one off season, Matt.
Yeah.
Pretty
Hopefully,
robust.
hopefully we're talking Alex Lyon. It'd be really cool if Kosa was just like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna shut out all the way through training camp. So, okay, but here's the point I was coming to. Like Boston, Bergeron retired, right? So they're gonna take a step back. Tampa, I think, is also taking a step back. Okay, now I'm not saying that those playoff spots are open. What I think our mindset's gonna have to be is at best number 3 spot in the Atlantic, and then we're fighting for either a wild card spot or a division spot, right? For a playoff spot again. With the Rangers, Tampa, the Islanders, Florida. I think Pittsburgh will get mixed in there.
Yeah.
Obviously Buffalo and our new least favorite team in the league, Ottawa. And I think we'd be silly if we didn't include the Washington Capitals in there too. They're not taking steps back, but or I'm sorry, taking steps forward, but I mean they're right there in that mix. I think it's totally fair to mix them in that. And then you've got maybe a surprise coming out of between Philly, Montreal, and Columbus. Like for sure. Do you go into this upcoming season and expect a surprise? No. If you're looking at any one of those teams and calling out the surprise, you're crazy. But it will happen. So there's going to be all these teams that we could all justifiably predict can be in some way, shape, or form in this battle. And then I think there's going to be one surprise. There always is. I can't put a finger on it. Maybe Fantilli makes the difference for Columbus. I mean, Columbus has been getting a lot of good draft picks these last few years. So maybe they're finally going to take a big jump here. Maybe not, but I'm just throwing it out there. But anyway,
Man,
that's why that's kind of, does that point make sense what I'm coming to? Like we are going to be in a battle with like 10 teams for a couple of playoff spots. So like even chance, like just statistical chances that it winds up in our favor.
I do agree that there's like cup contender, then there's a like guaranteed playoff team.
Oh,
and then
Chewy, I love you. Just real quick. He's throwing in for the Blue Jackets. He thinks Babcock will help them. You giggle. I think Chewy's right. I think in the long run he doesn't
helps
help
them find
but
their
I think
next
he helps
coach
them make
when
a
he gets
jump
fired.
this season. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
for sure.
But
sorry, I jumped on you.
No, I guess my question was because we it's kind of a light time for topics, and I don't know if this is really the time to do it. Now that the off seasons are mostly done, and by saying the off season's mostly done, I'm saying that Tarasenko signed with Ottawa. What do you think is the, because we're that third, I'd say we're that third tier, not a cup contender, not a guaranteed playoff, like that next tier down. So not complete toilet either. And I don't think we're in the floundering spot, which is by far the worst spot. So I think we've upgraded there. But is our measuring stick, is there a certain team you're looking at? Because for me, I do feel like the strongest case to be made is probably Ottawa. With like the average age of their team. They've been in a similar position as us, right? Draft pick wise, the past 5 years. They've definitely splurged on some guys, and they have some Red Wing alumni. Hey, Kubalik. Every time I see Shabbat, I think, oh, we picked the wrong Shah. And then they got my boy Tarasenko, who I very badly wanted. Um, and then we got Stutzla coming from the Raymond draft, right? So yeah, I mean, is that interesting to like make them the measuring stick when they also haven't accomplished anything, but it feels like they're on the same trajectory? Is that maybe the way to look at this? Because you could pick like Pittsburgh, who's been on the basically that playoff team a little bit like the Red Wings were when they had that 20-year stretch. But now all their guys are old, so I don't feel like that. For just as a counterexample, I don't think that's a good measuring stick. I feel like probably Ottawa with their trajectory, average age of team that they've been neck and neck with us in every draft, that might be the number one.
So you're just asking, are you asking you just want to have a battle with Ottawa throughout the season and just make sure we're on top of them or in lockstep with
God,
them?
I hope it's a battle. I know they pantsed us and ruined our lives.
I guess the reason I had that follow-up question was absolutely we're in this group, and Yzerman said this in a couple of press conferences, but we're in this group with like Ottawa and Buffalo where it's like that is the next generation. Boston's going to make a step back. Tampa's going to have to really reset soon as their vets continue to age. And Toronto, this is it, right? Like if they've got some major decisions coming up next off season. So then what happens not only in the conference, but specifically in our division, and the way that, I mean, if you're going through Puck Soup, the Hockey News, TSN, Sportsnet, like this is what you're seeing in the next couple of years will be those battles, above the wild card spot, division battles. It's going to be led by, maybe I shouldn't say led, maybe like 2 out of 3 of those are going to make it out of the pack. And I think Buffalo has done enough to kind of stand on top. So maybe what you're looking at is like, who's going to make the moves here? And I think it's that top 6 move that's really going to push one of these teams, or one of our prospects really lays into being a superstar across the league for Ottawa or Detroit. So I think you're waiting to see which one of those teams is going to have one of their prospects move into that role or make a major trade to bring in that next huge name. And no, it was not Tarasenko, Mike. But one of those two, those two teams are going to fight. And one of them is going to have stories written about them about where it all went wrong. Like what was the decision that was ultimately the failing. And then the other one will do what they're supposed to. They've done the rebuild and now they'll go for playoff battles. And I do think it's fair, like a team like Buffalo that has a Tage Thompson, like that is your superstar. Like not only in production and ability, but that kid is super marketable at being 12 feet tall. Like, like that, they've nailed it. Like they've done something special there on accident, I would say, because when, Tage was getting moved, I think we're all like, oh, wow, good for Buffalo for landing a pretty reasonable contract. Let's see how this works out. And then he just blows up. And now they have this super, I'm going to sound insane right now. Superstar Tage getting a very reasonable contract. They've got some high level defensemen. Mike, Buffalo kind of looks like Colorado a couple years ago if things continue to progress in the right direction. I know I sound insane. This is where people go, wow, hot takes, real shit from Red Wings Rant. But that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a potential Colorado Avalanche with the Tage Thompson being so contract with Tage Thompson being so juicy. This contract being so juicy and the salary cap about to go through the roof, like Buffalo's in a real tasty position. Now, that doesn't say the Red Wings aren't, but you look up and down that roster and nobody's made that move, in my opinion, to be the Tage Thompson. I I think you have guys that could do that. You have guys that are like a Dylan Larkin that are pivotal
Pivotal.
pillars. Pivotable. They're pivotable because they can go into different roles, right? They're pivotal pillars for this team, but for this team. Tage, you could pop anywhere. Tage Thompson is just super duper star wherever you put him. Does that I might make some people angry here because I've seen a lot of question marks.
Well, I think one other point to kind of
Shut
think
up,
about.
Jared.
Welcome to Sabres Rant. The reason that I kind of like your Buffalo pick, not just that, Matt, would you rather have Tage or would you rather have Stützle?
Tage Thompson.
Yeah. The other thing too is like Ottawa's done. That's it. Okay, this is our team. They're at their cap space is like under $1 million right now, and next year they're gonna have about $21 million.
It's embarrassing
Buffalo
to be a
has
Senators fan.
well, Buffalo's locked up their superstars, and then next year they're gonna have I can't even believe right now they have $6 million available. Next year they're gonna have $46 million available. Which is about as sexy as what we had when we signed, another Andrew Kopp. So I'm just saying, in what could be a pretty thrilling offseason, looking at you, Toronto, those guys are going to have giant sacks of money that they can throw around. And our situation's good too, right? We're going to have 33 mil. But if you're sizing up the lineups,
both of these teams that you're talking about, you're going to have to pay Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, and of course with the Wingdings, we've got some huge contracts that you and I have discussed. Just I don't know, maybe once or 20 times. Of course with Signer and Lucas Raymond being the names. So there's some huge contracts going on the books this year, and then you got to think too, like Berggren's going to get something reasonable. Oh man, sorry. So there's some of this money coming off the books. So I do want to mention that, but by no means, like you are absolutely 100% correct. Like both of these teams are going to be in super flexible positions going forward, and like I mentioned, doing a pretty good job in challenging for at least a wild card spot. But Buffalo would not surprise me if they, I don't know. They have a hot start right at the beginning. It is a Buffalo thing to do. Like Buffalo does love their 10-0 starts, and then they come back. But
man, I forgot how stacked Buffalo's defense was. Good Lord, there's a lot of interesting names that are under 25. Oh my God. Well, our beloved winged wheel. Sherratt. I love the Ghost Bear, but he is 30. Don't call me whole. 31. There's a lot of long teeth in that lineup, and I know we got Edvinsson in the wings and a couple of our other prospects that we name every offseason and then we don't get to see him play. But I'm just saying, like Buffalo's guys are like ready to roll, son.
We are. I will say, like it was 2 seasons ago. No, oh my God, no. So September and October start. That would mean we're 3 seasons removed from us doing an episode where like a surprise call up was going to be Albert Johansson, and here we are. He's still.
It'll be a surprise.
Oh,
it'll be a surprise in a different way. Wow, he finally made it. Look at him.
And look, we're not like we tease. We know there's some folks that watch a lot more European and even minor league hockey, way more than us, and they're like, it's got some stuff. But I think it's pretty fair to say we're not looking at him going, wow, that first pairing is going to have a real battle between Jake Wellman and Albert Johansson. I'm just saying, like, for the sake of some legitimate moves here on this team. But go ahead, yeah.
Let me ask a scary question. If we end up picking Buffalo as the measuring stick, going forward, their long-term deals are Matthias Samuelsson, Dylan is it Cousins? I always say it wrong. Tage Thompson and Jeff Skinner. Compare that to our beloved Red Wings, Dylan Larkin. Okay, I like that. DeBrincat. I think we can all get behind that. Andrew Kopp for 4 years. JT Compher, 5 years. Gonna be paying him when he's 33. And then a couple of 3-year scary bombs in Sherratt, Hull, and we do have the Wall Man, who we do love very much. Knowing that Buffalo, what they have locked up versus what we have locked up versus the cap space that they're going to have versus the cap space that we have, do they have the more enviable situation?
No. I still think we're pretty close to being in lockstep with them. I just think the standings worked out better for Buffalo in the end. And this could be my own like
bias, hometown bias.
Oh, absolutely bias, but I was gonna gear it more towards like I don't know Buffalo's like extended prospect list like we do for the Red Wings, like where we can look at all these names and kind of cross our fingers. And like with Buffalo, it's just kind of like, well, I've seen what they've been able to put together on the top line, and I hope to have that one day on the Detroit Red Wings roster, which I always feel is the harder thing to come by. But I think, again, Red Wings, and going back to the Ottawa and Red Wings conversation, are looking for like that number one super duper star. And maybe Ottawa thinks they've already got it. But for the Wingdings, I think we have a lot of great pieces. And if we had that super duper star, I think we have a lot of complementary pieces. And then Yzerman really built a prospect pool that will create for years to come the greatest bottom six of all time. So when it's time, and maybe a couple years down the road, like that's the side of things, that makes the difference once we get into that playoff, not just the hunt, but into a playoff run. But yeah, we're still missing that huge piece.
Yeah, I think that's a good, kind of differentiator there. Also, I forgot that Buffalo took, I think, 2 of our boys, and Matty Savoy and Zach Benson. It's like, God damn it, I wanted those guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did forget about. Oh man, the Benson pick.
But yeah, I mean, gosh, Owen Power, Darlene, my God, those are they're gonna be pretty fun, Matt. I'm pretty jealous, and I think a lot of it comes down to, like how we were terrified that the Red Wings offseason was over before DeBrincat. And then we brought home the cat. And we're like, okay, this is a lot more digestible. I feel like we're a little, competitive now. I still feel like Ottawa and Buffalo have that leg up, like you said. I feel like they have a number one guy, and we love Larkin. DeBrincat, he's got a resume being a goal scorer. I still don't feel like we have that super duper star. And I don't think that there's tons of argument against that. I mean, if we're going to say superstars, what, top 20 NHL player? I don't know if Larkin, he's excellent. I don't know if he's top 20, and that's okay. I don't want people to, grind their molars tonight when they're trying to fall asleep.
You're saying he's number 21 on the list.
But yeah, maybe he's 21. Maybe he's one tier down, which is fine, but it doesn't give me the confidence that this team is, to quote AEW, got its 4 pillars.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and there's a nice little conversation about the Winnipeg Jets going on. And of course, Blake thinks I'm on crack for mentioning Buffalo, maybe being on the Colorado Avalanche trajectory. But yeah, let's we will be right back, and we'll go over that conversation. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblingma.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort in Kansas, Kansas, and West Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 and up in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See draftkings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10+ leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.com. Sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
Even if you're not going on vacation, summer's all about that vacation state of mind. Whether I want to listen to, I don't know, maybe Red Wings Rant, but whatever it is, I know there's 2 earbuds in both my ears throughout the entire experience. That's right, it's the Raycon earbuds. I'm going to tell you right now, Raycons, they absolutely are the best way to listen. Like I've got one of those little things on my Raycon earbuds to make sure I don't lose them. So I do like the little beep beep because now I can't operate without them. I am so much in love with them. You've got the earbud tap functions to toggle between 3 customizable sound profiles, noise isolation, awareness mode. They have the 32-hour battery life. They come with custom gel tips, and not to mention half the price of some of those other audio brands that are out there. And you've also got a 30-day happiness guarantee. Although, if you have the same experience I do, that won't even come into play. But if you want to make this experience even cheaper, create your own soundtrack with Raycon right now. Red Wings Rant listeners get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/THPN. That's for the Hockey Podcast Network. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/THPN.
Oh yeah, we're back.
And we're back. All right. That was fun. All right, Jared fell asleep. Crimson asked,
oh, I love that question.
How many players do you need? How many star players do you need to compete? Blake says at least 6 top end players. Now, compete, be a consistent Stanley Cup contender. Like, are we competing? It's just so many variables. Like, are we competing in the sense that, this past season, the Florida Panthers went to game 82 before they knew they were locked in for the playoffs. And you just want to get in, right? And then you see what happens. And things worked out for the Panthers up until the finals. Or do you kind of want to have that set up like the Boston Bruins and you're just going to roll through and get a President's Trophy? And of course, you're out in the first round. But I guess I love that question because there are so many different ways to like digest this. Because how many star players do the Red Wings have right now? Do you make the argument that they have Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, Moritz Seider? Do you have a ton of confidence in like a Husso? Do you have a ton of confidence in Lucas Raymond taking a step forward? Do you need to see more? If you have the super duper star, does David Perron come into play to be included in that list? Because he's going to be the kind of guy that has the hockey intelligence to be where he needs to be on the power play with that super duper star. Once we bring Elias Pettersson over here, and he's going to be the guy receiving those passes and just knocking it in the back of the net. Is that included in your 6 top end? Is it top end production? Is it like perspective from the national, like who has the best superstars? Because I think we're talking top end production because a lot of that gets kicked off by your super duper star, right?
I think what the superstar does too is when you have peripheral guys, and you're on a little bit of a cold streak, you don't feel like the world is caving in because the superstar is still able to outperform, 95% of the other players they go up against. So it's able to extend, success, and I think it's able to snuff out, losing streaks or rough periods, so that it is just a rough period and not a rough game, and a rough game turns into a rough couple games because that guy's so productive. I think that's the real value. There's no, it's that. I mean, that's really what the superstar is, right? It's just we've even seen. I'm not calling him one. I'm just saying as a counter example, Fabry have magical moments. My God, he hit somebody and he scored a goal. This guy's awesome. Oh wait, he's out for the rest of the game. So it's about consistency, right? Doing it not just game in, game out, period in, period out, every shift. I don't know. I guess, Matt, is it because somebody brought up, what did Vegas do? Can we count Eichel star, Mark Stone star, William Karlsson star? Are we going to put Barbashev in there after his playoffs?
Right. That's actually I wanted to talk about that because that goes into the who's the guy that can play off of the superstar, because Eichel and Stone are my superstars, and they're the guys making everyone else around them better. And Barbashev proved that was a hell of an investment at the trade deadline, because Barbashev said, yeah, I can keep up with this, no problem. You give me the superstar, I will make him even better. He doesn't like control the superstardom, but he's going to play off the superstar and he's going to help production kick up a notch. So in that conversation, would I have said a year ago that Barbashev is a star player? I'm not calling him the superstar. No, but if you watch that playoffs, and if that was your first time watching hockey and all you watched were the Golden Knights, you came away from those playoffs going, I'm getting a Barbashev jersey. That guy he doesn't care if he ever has teeth again. He loves putting blood on the ice, and he will kill his own family for Jack Eichel. Like it's an interesting conversation. So that's where Mike, I feel like you and I have been pretty consistent with this, but we've always said, like, yeah, that move's great, but when does the superstar come along? Like how Zetterberg needed Pavel Datsyuk to be able to stand out, because Pavel Datsyuk, as we all know and agree, was the superstar of that team, right, everyone? Right. Okay. I'm glad we all agree with that.
Well, there's not going to be a debate on this show because you'll just get muted. So,
I mean, there's the Pavel Datsyuk bobblehead, the autographs, multiple. I love Pavel.
I don't know, and I always hesitate too to like, you know what? Edmonton has now won back-to-back cups, and it's like, yeah, but that's more about roster construction. If you can't get the peripheral guys, I would much rather have, like, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl than DeBrincat and Larkin. I mean, is that an argument? Is that really an argument to be made?
Yeah, I think sometimes we're being a little silly. Like when I see some of the arguments online, and it's just like, well, you just don't understand how long a rebuild takes. And it's like, yeah, and maybe that's nothing against Yzerman, because it would, look at some of the first picks that have gone through and look at some of the luck we've had in the draft lottery. Yeah, it hasn't worked out. But still, it fucking blows to go into another season and just be like, man, it's going to be great when Mazur gets called up for 9 games. Whew. And it's just, and that is fun, but it's not as fun as playoff hockey. So,
yeah. By the way,
and I don't know why
did throw in a pushback for you. The perfect human as our superstar.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks, Soap Dish.
Soap Dish, you've just been muted.
Yeah, that's right. Bye, Soap Dish. No. I remember, like, I used to, like, put messages up on Facebook, like, 2009, 2010, and like they pop up in my time hop. But I was such a little baby that people like Zetterberg. And I was like, no, you should all like Pavel Datsyuk. And I was just like, how does nobody see it? And I just, God, and the Facebook messages still pop up on my, does anybody else use Time Hop? But yeah, I was always like a little Pavel Datsyuk bitch. Like I hated it. It made me so angry that nobody else saw that Datsyuk carried the whole team. I'm not saying that's actually true, but that's what I saw when I was younger. Anyway.
No, I think we'll be all right. Somebody threw out there, who was that? Dan? Oh, and yeah, Dan B. When Chicago starts how fat people's heads in Detroit are going to explode. I will say that it won't be at the Blackhawks necessarily. I think I'll just be more upset at the league that they once again have let one of the big market cities win the draft, and it definitely feels a little suspect. So for me, it'll just be envy of the Blackhawks, and then anger at the league, not anger necessarily at the Blackhawks.
Now, I did throw in there because when we went to break, I said we'll talk about the Winnipeg Jets, but was it Kyle Connor that was popping up in the comments? But I know Jared said he was waiting for somebody to get moved, and that probably started with Hellebuck.
And he was talking about Hellebuck because of Buffalo might be a goaltender away from being incredible. So
right. So I guess the point I'm coming to is I'm looking at Winnipeg's roster and I don't see that superstar. I just see more guys that get put around the superstar. You know what I mean? And maybe for the Jets, that superstar, I think, you know what? I shouldn't say maybe. Clearly, the superstar for the Winnipeg Jets that puts them in the playoff conversation has been Hellebuck. And if you want to talk about, again, maybe you don't want to invest too much in a goaltender. I respect that a lot. But then when you talk about superstar, you're talking about, and again, I asked this earlier, do you just care about the national perception, or are you looking for production? Because regardless of whether or not you trust goaltenders, Hellebuck turns in an A+ Vezina performance year after year. And that's how Winnipeg gets there. Can you count on that next year? Would I trade for Hellebuck? Hell no! Yzerman has a great strategy for goaltenders. Just keep throwing goaltenders get just more goalies at the net. Let's see what happens. Let's see if one of them sticks. I love that. But there's your superstar, and everyone played off of that. Now, you bring over Elias Pettersson. Took a bridge deal, and he was waiting to see what Vancouver would do long term for him and his future. And you could see Vancouver's only put him in a worse situation. So I'm calling up the team that was happy to take Filip Hronek off our hands, calling them up, and I'm going to say, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. This isn't working out for you, for Pettersson. And I'm happy right now to give you so many pieces to try and help you reload. Here's Nate Danielson and Marco Kasper. And first round pick.
Whoa, man. Matt is
another
going
first round pick.
Woo, that's a lot.
Because those are our 4 first round picks that I would have gladly given up 2 years ago when I wanted to sign him and take him away from the restricted free agent market.
The clip when you tease Red Wings Rant on Spotify. I love that. Can you say that one more time?
So yeah, if you're not familiar with
UFA,
with how the restricted free agent market works for anybody out there, basically what I wanted to do was steal Pettersson away from Vancouver, give him a contract that Vancouver couldn't match, in which case we would have had to give up 4 first round picks. So right now, let's just give him those 4 first round picks. We'll take Pettersson, and oh man, now that, Mike, that's another conversation going into this upcoming season. If you're now, your decision is like, oh God, do we put Larkin on the wing or do we put him on the second? Like, those are decisions where you're like, ah, shit, this is a team. Yeah, fuck yeah. But Blake coming in again. He thinks I'm hitting the crack pipe.
I like crack pipe, Matt. I want more of these these receipts that Matt's been saving for Pettersson, and he will continue to save.
You know what? That's on me too. That's almost myself calling me out because I said I would have I was always like, yeah, you get Elias Pettersson
So wait,
instead of rolling the dice to see if you win the lottery.
It was Casper Danielson, first round pick that is yet to be determined. And what was there another one?
Oh, I just threw in another first round pick. Let's do it.
Oh, okay. Because I remember the
Jared,
value.
Matt got his braid bleached in Florida. You guys, is that really how everyone, like, you guys wouldn't put Elias Pettersson?
You wouldn't trade 2 maybes and 2 late first round picks for Pettersson. I know Matt has a real Pettersson fetish. I know, but
like
it's a verified yes for 2 maybes and a who knows and a who knows.
Right. I don't know. I'm kind of on board. I was kind of playing around at first.
You're talking yourself into your own theory that you made up. Wow, Matt. Way to go out on a limb.
Jared, how do you not have a tan? Well, I will. I am pretty tan.
Inside it's just reading Elias Pettersson.
I'm in a dark
Instagram
room,
so he was very busy.
No, you guys can call me crazy, but
listen, I know he put up 102 fucking points last season, but I'm not that impressed. I really want to see this Nate Danielson guy who could have been less excited about being a Detroit Red Wing, 4'6" Marco Casper, and then a couple of first round picks that'll be at the end of the first round. That's what
Dan
I'm
B.
interested in. Yeah.
Sandine had a nice goal today. Maybe he's only 1 year away. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I know, but like that's the thing, Dan, is that we're still talking about like you know who had a shit ton of good goals in the NHL last year?
Who's that?
Elias Pettersson.
Oh man.
Jared sharing the goal somehow. He said, "Dad B, here's the goal."
Man,
where?
If
what does that mean?
Nate Danielson and Marco Casper's point production for the next 5 years, will they get to the 100 points that Elias put up this past season? Your thoughts?
Didn't we all come to the agreement that we're like, oh yeah, like Marco Casper, Nate Danielson, middle six, we nailed it. Like, didn't we all come to that agreement on draft day? And now we're like, no, you can't trade 2 middle six centers for
Soap Dish. If the trade is such a slam dunk, why would Vancouver do it? They would not have been trading for those players. They would have been trading for more maybes because the picks hadn't been made yet. So we would have had to trade 4 first rounders to get access to the restricted free agent. And then the risk for the Red Wings is, whoa, you're giving up 4 picks. Could be like number one. But we know how the Red Wing ping pong balls go. So you're giving up 4 picks. And then you're giving up what ends up being a $7.35 million, which is right in DeBrincat's, in Larkin's, wheelhouse. He's getting paid less than DeBrincat, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
And Soap Dish, I hear you on that. Like, I think it is. I would go for it, but I think you're seeing in the chat and probably across the league, like too. Like, I mean, you got to give up something to get something. So for me, I have no problem doing it, but I think you could clearly see there's like in the chat here, nobody wants to give up Nate and Marco Casper, but I still say, like, you got to, at some point, you guys we walked away from that DeBrincat trade and we were all just like, phew, nothing gone. All right, DeBrincat, here we come. And I said all along, you said it too, Mike, like eventually we need a move where we're like, okay, we got a good player, but this hurts a little bit. That still hasn't happened. We need some pain. No pain, no gain, right? Jared, wait, we can't give up a Letty and get a Wallman. See, you know what? Now you guys you're way off here. Now you're taking this into a completely incorrect direction. Like that, you weren't trading for Wallman to get Jake Wallman. That worked out.
I also think that, I'm not going to, you can't really win if you're doing hey, we traded a C plus for a B minus. Big win. Yeah. Yeah. It's more like you could have taken, 4. Ooh, these are, this could be huge. They're first round picks. Wow. Or to get a guy who's actually an A, like he's ready to go. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. Pettersson signed a 3-year deal, right? So he's got 1 year left coming up.
Mhm.
And so does that mean his previous years we were going to trade for him when he had? It wasn't last season, right? The reason I'm asking you this question, he signed a 3-year deal, right? It looks like it's up after this season.
Mm-hmm.
At that juncture, he'd played a 71 game season, 66 points. 68 game season, 66 points. Then he had a 26er, right? The COVID mess up year, I think. It was COVID-y. 26 games, 21 points. We were kind of like, oh, maybe. It was after that he got 80 games, 68 points. And then the monster season last year. So I think there was still a lot of inherent risk in, well, maybe he just had a, lucky rookie sophomore year. Because he wasn't like flying out of the gate, 26, 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I remember like you guys all called me crazy for like wanting to sign Pettersson at that point, and it's fine. I've been called crazy for a long time for this Pettersson stuff, but I think all that's happened now between then and now is the possibility of us getting Pettersson actually probably got cheaper because Pettersson's probably just going to want out. So the whole point of his bridge deal is to see what Vancouver would do. And Vancouver didn't really improve their position in the league. So when I still think you could get Pettersson probably. Like I'm being, maybe a little tongue in cheek, but also if that trade got announced tomorrow, I might be the only. Maybe I'm the only one who's like, yes, go Yzerman, let's fuck shit up. But
I think that isn't that trade though like a case in point of yours and my whole thesis about roster construction.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybes and prospects, or this guy is like right there to be a superstar.
Look, Blake, right here, man. I see flashes of a Ginla and Raymond. I think he'll be a superstar soon. And Blake, I don't even disagree with you. But it's still, you threw in the word think and the word flashes. I don't know, man. Like, Pettersson was already a great two-way player, and then he decided to put up 100 points. So I just... And it looked like it was going in that direction. I don't know, guys. I'm okay. Like, I think at some point we're gonna if things don't, like, if we don't make like a huge move, the conversation's gonna be like, oh, we should have traded that guy last year. And I'm gonna hate that conversation because I hate telling you guys I told you so. It breaks my heart.
And if there's anything worse than that, it's me having to listen to Matt. Oh my God.
And look, you guys can come in. I absolutely in the comments. When they're putting up, when Casper and Danielson connect, and I have to put up on X, a clip of their goal where, it's Danielson's 80th goal of the year, and Casper got the assist, and he's now at assist 100. Like, absolutely comment and say like, see, I told you, Matt, you're a big idiot. I don't know. I've do it. How about that? Yeah, do it. I have no problem with it. You guys could throw the "I told you so's" back at me. My hot take right now is I'm okay giving up a lot of prospects for something juicy right now. I think, and this conversation of like, Mike, your question of where's the measuring stick is great, because now we're at this point where we're like, we want to be better than Ottawa and Buffalo, and you can look at those rosters right now and say, you know who else is going to be gunning for fucking Elias Pettersson? Those fucking two. So at some point, you got to beat them to it. Right? Or we're just going to sit here and go, hey, you know what? Eventually that Cider contract's coming off, and we'll be right back in the running for lottery picks and Yzerman. You know, you always say 18 years before you get into the playoff run. So I'm sorry. I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but it's just there's like, I guess it's just the difference between conservative and aggressive. And you know, it's almost like we cheated with DeBrincat, because that was exactly what I wanted to have happen. And I'm almost bummed out that there wasn't any pain with it. Like, we just kind of cheated to get a guy who wanted to be here. And we even got him on like a great extension. Or new contract. I don't know. I guess you don't call it an extension when technically he has no contract. But I still think we're all in agreement, right? Like, that's not a Stanley Cup contender. Right. So let's make it a Stanley Cup contender. I don't know. We're at an hour. Mike and I said we do 30 minutes.
I just if there was a season to be on the cusp, this is it. Steve, I need you to put your Iser balls on the table, because if you don't want to trade anything, you can look at Austin Matthews. If you're okay to give up stuff and get a younger guy, Pettersson is a restricted free agent. You could try it again. And yeah, you might have to say goodbye to Nate Danielson. You might have to say goodbye to Marco Kasper. You might have to say goodbye to Elmer Soderblom. But you know, that's a maybe on the fourth line, or
That
a
ship has
guaranteed
sailed.
first line guy.
Nobody wants Elmer Soderblom anymore. It's done.
That's my guy, though.
I think with how many guys Yzerman signed in the offseason, I don't know if Soderblom's going to see a lot of Detroit ice time.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry. I'm just basing it off of reality.
Max Boltman just told me a Comfort's going on waivers.
How is Toronto still $12 million over the cap?
That's one team I haven't looked at today. I don't know how they're operating. Are they waiting for somebody to break a leg? How does that work? Are they trying to pull a Tampa Bay and just, what do you guys go on a ski do and rip your groin in half and just come back for the playoffs?
So Cap Friendly does have this cute little like statistic of like sum of cap hits from the players that we estimate are likely to be placed on long-term injured reserve.
What?
And it's still at 10 million, so they still have $2 million to clear. So yeah, let's just bring in Austin Matthews this year. I don't know. God, what is the problem, you guys? Just spend the Illich money and make me happy for 82 games. I don't know why you guys have such a huge problem with me being happy. You guys disappoint me.
I can't, Matt, I don't even know what to compare Toronto's books to. Their whole team is gone, like, next season. Gone.
Yeah.
It's like Tavares and Marner, then they both only have 1 year left. Like, gone. The whole team, gone. Man, can you imagine if they suck for like the first month?
Oh God, that'd be so great. Dan B says, you do understand how effing competitive Yzerman is, right? And the effing tells me that, Dan, you're getting angry at me. And I do want to throw in there a little bit of this is performative. So I don't want anybody to get too upset. But for sure, Steve's competitive. But does you knowing that you have a competitive general manager, is that what brings you guys to Little Caesars Arena? Right? Like, I love
good players and winning does.
Yeah, just winning. Just winning. So the other one was Dan. This is Dan B again. Deep breaths and patience. And it's not. We're not going anywhere. We're still, Red Wings Rant is alive and well.
Wow. Man, I guess I don't want to have dead air. Listen. I don't want to have dead air. I can't think of a time when a team like their entire nucleus is going to be up for contracts and could just walk. They have to trade one or two of those guys for a bundle of young guys because there's nobody left. So we really need those goofballs at Debt News and Freep to start talking about how great our prospects are, to start giving them more value so we can sell them to Toronto for win now guys.
It's so funny too. Like Bertuzzi's totally not gonna re-sign with that.
No, good for him getting $5 million.
Did you hear the story behind that too? Mm-hmm. Like he was waiting on Boston, and Boston was waiting on somebody else to sign. So Tyler just was like, "All right, I'm gonna go sign over here since you guys are kicking a rock between your feet." It was weird. Like Tyler, I feel kind of bad for him because he got lowballed by Steve. Boston dicked around with him, and now Toronto is still like, we won't give you anything long term here. You got to earn it. And it's just like, if I was Tyler Bertuzzi, I'd just be like, what the fuck do I have to do?
What are they doing to us?
But yeah, did you go through that list of Austin Matthews and Nylander? I don't know. Like after that, it gets pretty easy. Like they can upgrade over TJ Brody. Mark Giordano was never going to make the huge difference for them. Who else is on this list? Yeah, I mean Klingberg was recent, so that was a 1 year. But yeah, Bertuzzi's on that list. Max Domi made a lot of sense, but also just put them further over the cap. Sam Lafferty, Dylan Gambrell. It's just, you can't go into next season and tell yourself, like, if the cap doesn't go up by a ton, you can't go, well, we're going to increase these two contracts for Nylander and Matthews when you're already 12 million over, right? Like, and who's going to be on LTIR based on this list, right? Like, they can't just keep bringing in guys to replace everyone that's injured.
Right? Yeah, I don't know how that works. If John Tavares is going to get treated like Brock Lesnar with a part-time contract,
right?
We really need that 11 mil, but we'll see next April.
Because they still have $2 million to clear with Muzzin and Matt Murray, who I think Matt Murray just was announced while we were gone these last couple of weeks. But Jared says Shanahan gonna have to Nancy Kerrigan someone, and that he will. But I'm trying to do it at $2 million and also make sure that they have a team to ice. And you're not going to do it to Max Domi, right? You're not. You brought him in to bring in, I don't know. What are they trying to do there? Just rekindle his father's spirit, just in a tinier, softer body. Because he's not like his father, right? Like sometimes he's a little bitch and gets annoying, but he's not his dad. I just mean like knocking teeth down people's throats kind of thing. I don't know.
Fun fact too. Toronto in the next 3 years, for the first and second round, the next 3 years combined, they have 2 picks. They have a first in 2024, first in 2026, no first in 2025, no seconds in any of those years. So, I mean,
I'll take John Tavares if they give us their first round pick in 2024.
If they crap the bed, I mean, they don't even have a pipeline to start building here. It's going to be tough.
Yep. Well, we're at an hour.
We did it, Matt. We promised we wouldn't, and God damn it, we did it again.
I really am happy with this episode too, because everyone's so mad at us that if we take another break, we might not get anyone to come back. But I love you guys. I do. I just, when you have nothing to talk about, there's no hockey, then the hot takes are gonna come flying. And
Hot takes come in, and you just rip on Toronto for a little while.
rip on Toronto
That's
for a
usually
bit.
30 minutes of content. Yeah.
So I mean, like next year when we're flying with Nylander and Pettersson on our first line, like that's a Stanley Cup team. And then Edvinson's got another year under his belt, and he's getting his ELC contract still rolling. Man, that's gonna be great.
Can I say too that if we
Mhm.
got Nylander, that would be like a pragmatic move. I want the big gun. I want the big one. I want the big one. Uncle Steve, get me the big one. I want Pettersson or Matthews. I want the big one, Uncle Steve.
Are we still keeping an eye on Clayton Keller? Or are we? That's another like upper 90s war percentage from the J Fresh cards.
By the way, I got so distracted. I'm so sorry I didn't even hear your question. My Craig McDonald saying latest rumor: Soderblom, Sherratt, Wallander. We get Carlson, and Jared going, McDonald, did you start that rumor? That was a good one.
Oh man. How fast do you say yes to that if you're Steve Yzerman? Not if you're Mike.
Yeah, because I would say no. You're not getting an MVP. No.
I don't know. I think I still don't want to do that, honestly, with Carlson. I think last year was more of a flash. I think that was the last of a dying star.
If I have to say goodbye to the mighty Ent, I want the big one. I'm not having a crappy Christmas with Carlson. No,
Would you trade Tage Thompson for Elmer Soderblom, Mike, 1-for-1? So you still get a tall guy, and you get a guy who's produced so well.
I get a tall guy, but do I get the tallest?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head if they did like 1.5 inches, but I think they're both listed at 6'8".
Wow.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I thought
Cap Friendly has Tage at 6'6".
Soderblom 6'8".
Yep.
I've looked at it many times.
So your Buffalo calls up GM Mike.
Yeah, it's my first day. What's going on?
I really like
exciting. I can't believe I'm the GM.
Sherratt's going to bring a ton of grit to the Buffalo Sabres that we need on the defensive side, and I need Elmer Soderblom. And the only thing I can toss your way, I can imagine, the only thing you'd consider is Mr. Tage Thompson from Oyster Bay, New York.
The next exchange would be the GM of Buffalo going, hello? Michael. I think he hung up.
All right. 2 straight seasons. On average for Tage, we'll call it 40-goal seasons, but he had a 38-goal and a 47-goal season.
Yeah, but did you see how tall Soderblom is? I feel like you don't get it. He's the tallest man in the world. All right, let's get this show, Matt.
All right. Thanks for coming along, guys. I appreciate it. Dan B, great show, boys. Can't wait for the season to get going. Just so that we stop giving hot takes, I'm assuming. And he also says Steve would drive to San Jose to pick up Carlson. All right.
Greg, more
guys,
rumors. More rumors, Craig.
Hit that like button if you guys had a little bit of fun. Hit the like button if you hated my hot takes. And subscribe if you hated my hot takes, and we'll see you guys. I'm gonna say we'll see you soon because I have a work trip next week, so we'll see what happens.
Man,
I know. All right, see you guys.